In this video, we'll go over how to set up an AR project in Xcode using RealityKit and SwiftUI. Let's get started by creating a new AR project. Open up Xcode and create a new project by going to File, New, and selecting Project. We now have to choose a template for our project. We will select iOS as the platform and App as the template. Next, we will fill in the project details, starting with the product name. I will name my app ARF, short for AR Furniture. You can of course pick a suitable name for yours. For team, I will select my Apple developer account. And for organization identifier, I will use the reverse of my domain. Since my company domain is addedlayer.com, I will use com.addedlayer. Since this is a sample app, I will also append the word sample to the identifier. We can now see that our bundle identifier is com.addedlayer.sample.arf. Next, we will choose the options for the project. For the interface, we will select SwiftUI. For lifecycle, we'll select SwiftUI app, and for language, we'll select Swift. And finally, we'll pick a directory to store our project folder. Click Create. Up next, we'll preview our Hello World SwiftUI app in the canvas. We can now see that Xcode provides us with some sample code as part of the app template. In this case, the sample code will display Hello World in a SwiftUI text view. If you're new to development, you might wonder what this Hello World thing is. Well, when developers get started with a new programming language or development environment, they tend to write a simple app that displays Hello World. This helps them to verify that everything up to that point has been properly set up. We're going to do the same thing for SwiftUI. Before running our app, let's set the active scheme. Connect your iPhone or iPad and select it in this dropdown. Keep in mind, even though we don't need a physical device to run SwiftUI apps, we do need one for testing augmented reality apps. Now that we've selected our active scheme, we will click on Resume in the canvas to enable automatic preview updating. Doing so will allow Xcode to build our app and preview it to us in the canvas. The cool thing about automatic preview updating is that when we update our code, it automatically updates the preview. Next, we'll work on updating our info.plist to include camera permissions and required device capabilities. Select the info plist file in the project navigator. The information property list, also known as info.plist, is essentially a dictionary with key value pairs that contain metadata for our app. This metadata is passed onto the operating system and system frameworks. A great and important example of a key in our info plist is the camera usage description key. This key is required for AR apps and enables us to request the user's permission to access their camera. To add this key, click on the plus icon of the information property list. Start typing privacy and look for the privacy-camera usage description key. We can now provide a string value for this key. I will write, to use augmented reality, this app needs access to your camera. Next, we'll add one more key value pair to required device capabilities. In this case, we want to tell the system that our app requires an ARKit capable device. Click on the plus icon next to required device capabilities. We can see that a new item has been added to the capabilities array. Select ARKit as the value for this new item. We are now done updating our info plist. Finally, we can work on creating an AR view container to set up our AR view. To do so, the first step is to import the RealityKit framework. Next, we'll create an AR view container which adopts the UI view representable protocol. At this point, you might be wondering why we need this protocol. A RealityKit AR view is really a UIKit view. To be able to use it in our SwiftUI app, we essentially have to wrap our AR view in a container that is usable in the SwiftUI view hierarchy. This is why we use UI view representable. A protocol can have required and optional methods. UI view representable has two required methods. The first one is make UI view. In this case, we will set our return type to AR view. Next, we'll create our AR view and pass in .0 for our frame. The actual frame of the AR view will be set by the system. The final step for this method is to return the AR view. The second required method is the update UI view method. For now, we will leave this method empty. Next, let's delete our text view and add our AR view container. Most augmented reality apps span the full screen. To accomplish this, we'll add a modifier to our AR view container view. In this case, we'll add .edgesIgnoring safe area .all. We essentially want SwiftUI to ignore the safe areas for all sides of the display. We are now ready to run and test our app. We are presented with an alert to allow access to the camera. Here, we can see the message we entered in our camera usage description. Tap OK. Our AR app is working. Of course, it is rather boring because we don't have anything in our AR scene. But not to worry, that will change very soon. To recap, we set up an AR project in Xcode by creating a new iOS project with the app template, updating our info plist to include camera permissions and required device capabilities, and finally creating an AR view container to set up our AR view. And that's it for this video.